the moments when our friends were by our side in shadow and in sunlight. All the boats have floated by and clouds are spread across the sky, and all our friends have gone away and left me with my thoughts today. For when I close my eyes, I see the way I know things used to be, the stars among the heavens and the sun upon the sea. We would
My old friend Nachum Heyman wrote this song, Remembering, and it really is so appropriate. It makes it easy for me to recall places, moments, and people, which I hope will help me to build up a picture of life here in Israel.
Sitting on the sand around the firelight, I hear the sound of bells that ring once more in my imagination. As the flames reach ever higher, songs reflected in the fire echo long into the night and almost till the morning light. For when I close my eyes, I see the way I know.
I would like to take you back to a very special period of my life, which I think does give a glimpse of something typically Israeli.
We would sing a song at noon, at night we'd serenade the moon. The moments never ended in the years that passed too soon.
A long, long time ago, when I was in my teens, I began work as a printer on a daily newspaper, a world which couldn't be further removed from show business. My friends and I were members of the labor youth movement, and there was no doubting our future. We were all fired up to devote the rest of our lives to an exciting social movement for which Israel has become famous, the kibbutz movement, of course.
When I close my eyes, I see the way I know things used to be, the stars among the heavens and the sun upon the sea. We would sing a song at noon, at night we'd serenade the moon. The moments never ended in the years that passed too soon.
For me, it meant leaving my job, my family in Tel Aviv, and heading 100 miles north for kibbutz training in the Jezreel Valley. Now, this was an area which had been opened up by pioneer settlers 30 years earlier, Jewish idealists who came from all over the world to create a new way of community living. I was 17 when I first walked up this road, trying to reach the kibbutz up the road named Geva. I was then fired with idealism and very enthusiastic to know what I was going to do, what kind of a job. Will I be working at the vineyard, which is here on the right, or at the orange grove on the left, or perhaps at the fish farm down the road where we came from? So when I came up, my friends were waiting for me up the road, and I asked, well, comrades, what is it going to be? And they told me. For a starter, let me tell you, it was 4 weeks in the kitchen washing dishes. How do you like it? I'd never have recognized the place. Where is everybody? Ah.
טוב, תודה. פה את עובדת? לא משתנים, פה אני עובדת במטבח. הללויה, הללויה, בציל צלי
Neshama Hallelujah.
שלום רחלה וזיווה.
אוי, טוב, מה שלומך?
לעניין הזה כדאי להיות טיפש.
אני רק אגיד, can I tell you that this is the first comedian, the first real comedian that I had the honor to know. And no, seriously, a very good comedian, and he used to be the funny guy in the Gevatron.
גם פעם פסתי לך קצת, אתה יודע.
Fania and Leibush are the veterans of this kibbutz, and actually Leibush was my teacher. I mean, he was the... Yeah, that's what I just said. זה מה שאני בדיוק אמרתי. He's the one who actually taught me everything I know about living with people.
זה חיים טופול.
And this is Uri Harari, the young man responsible for teaching us how to live and think as one. He was a shepherd, and there was nothing he didn't know about raising sheep, or young kibbutzniks for that matter. He's a grandfather now, 3 times over, and the children of Geva love to hear stories of the way life used to be here.
Tomorrow, they tell me, is the 62nd anniversary of this kibbutz. I wonder, אתם רוצים להראות לי איך נראה הקיבוץ לפני לפני הרבה שנים? יש לכם, אולי תראו לי? They're going to show me a model that they made, how the kibbutz looked 62 years ago. בואו. רגע, בואי תעברי לצד השני. תעברי לצד השני ומשם תראי.
שקוראים לה סוסנה.
שושנה? סוסה. Oh, he just told me that... He just told me that there was a mare called Shoshana who the guards used to ride, and they were guarding the kibbutz, making sure that thieves will not steal anything. There was nothing to steal, by the way. He just told me that they had a donkey who was a guard by himself. He didn't need a guard riding him. And when thieves would come, the donkey would kick them, and they would fly over to the next kibbutz.
No kibbutz was more typical in the way it developed than Geva. A group of tents in the middle of nowhere, a fence around, and a watchtower for protection, and a band of young people who'd come together, in Geva's case from Russia, to build a new life. They had to break the soil and build from scratch. And believe me, that was tough, because kibbutzim were built in swamps where they had to contend with malaria, or in the deserts where temperatures were up in the hundreds. But eventually came the crops, then the huts replaced tents, and the communal dining room and kitchen were built. Then came the children, and kindergartens, and schools, and everyone pitched in according to his abilities and received according to his needs. Geva was still somewhat Spartan when I finally escaped from the kitchens and joined the team raising carp in the fish ponds. And look at it now. Just like the 250 or so other kibbutzim, it has flourished. It always comes as a surprise to visitors from abroad. They still expect huts in the wilderness, not bungalows and landscaped parks. The kibbutz movement has come a long way, although nowadays less than 5% of the population of Israel are actually involved with them. Their principles are still the same. Everything is shared, even the decisions about the daily running of the kibbutz. Everyone eats together and works together, and no one receives wages. But who needs wages when food, clothing, healthcare, education, even holidays abroad are paid for by the kibbutz? But the kibbutzim have specialized. One will be known for its plastic factory, another for its dairy produce, and some have gone into tourism in a big way with hotels and guest houses. But what Geva is known and loved for throughout Israel is its choir, the Gevatron.
את ראשו של הגלבוע, מישהו צבע אדום. מן הלול מודיע גבר, יאיר היום. בת 60 פוקחת עין ונועלת נעלה. יום גדול ממתין בפתח, זה היום שלה. יום גדול עומד בפתח, יום צעיר וחדשני. מגהץ הוא את מטה ומוחק שנים. כי אמיתי ולא סמל ולא דגל ולא ואבל מאחוריה היא צופה אל המאור. כי אמיתי ולא סמל ולא דגל ולא ואבל מאחוריה היא צופה אל המאור. ואבל מאחוריה היא צופה אל המאור.
It was my dream to sing with this wonderful group. Well, they still don't let me sing with them, but they let me sit with them, and that's fair enough. And if we do look like one happy family, there is a reason to it. It is actually one happy family. For example, these two are brothers. This young, beautiful lady is married, is the sister of this young gentleman, and Kobe, oh, he's a young one. I don't remember him in that group. He's a truck driver who just joined recently. But we have Safi here, who is a real veteran, one of the first ones to join the group. This beautiful lady, actually, you won't believe it. Yeah, I remember her singing in that group, and I'll show you her daughter-in-law. You won't believe it. This is her daughter-in-law. And Tami is married to my friend Shlomo Ben Yaakov, who was with me in the same Hashara. And Nirka, sitting there quietly behind, is married to one of the MPs of the kibbutz movement, Nachman Raz, just recently joined the Knesset. And the most important thing about Nirka is that she grows 7 children. How many grandchildren?
6.
And 6 grandchildren.
שישמעו בבי-בי-סי.
and still has the time to sing.
I spent almost a year at Geva, and how sad I was to leave Uri and Leibush and my friends in the Gevatron, and the fish ponds, of course, where I'd spent so much time soaked to the skin. At the age of 18, every Israeli boy is called to do his military service in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. Even today, they have to do their 3 years. It's a turning point in everyone's life. It certainly was in mine. This is one of the most common sights in Israel. Young soldiers hitching lifts. The main roads are always lined with them, and it's a feature of every country lane too. Would you believe it? They all serve in the very same unit that I did. I was destined to become a paratrooper, or that's what I thought at the time. And they really put us through all kinds of hell, assault courses and route marches 40 or 50 miles through the blazing heat, and a drum to beat to keep up flagging spirits. Why am I looking so cheerful, I wonder? Yes, these are all pictures of Private Topol, and boy, did I think we were tough then. Must be joking. Ooh. Well, these boys are all raw recruits. How do you expect them to keep up with me? Whew. Whew. This is more like it now. Yes, the girls have to go through it all as well. For 2 whole years, and they get the whole works as they always did. And didn't we all adore Sergeant Ayala, who was in charge of us? She was 19 years old and the toughest sergeant I ever had. But very beautiful, by the way. And didn't that make the whole thing worthwhile?
Your meat small, small. Your meat small.
Well, when I did my training at Bet Daras, that was the name of my camp, leave was very precious, very rare. But I found ways of slipping out on Friday evenings through the fence and then across the road into the orange grove, and then on the other side of the grove to the main road and home. And on Saturday night, I would come back again through the same way, through the grove, across the road, through the hole in the fence, and into my tent. And that worked very well for quite a while. Problem was that others started to pull the same trick, and more, until one Saturday, our commander had a strange feeling that he was left alone in the camp. Of course, everybody had cleared off. So he called a roll call, and his feelings were confirmed. He was alone in the camp. What he did, he posted guards along the fence to try and catch us when we come back. That Saturday, when I came, I had a strange feeling that there were more soldiers in the grove than oranges. We all tried to figure out a way how to get into the camp. And finally, I found a wonderful idea which I thought would work. I walked straight up to the Sergeant Major, the main gate, and told him I still had some time to kill. It was only 11 o'clock, and my pass didn't expire till midnight. Go on, clear off, he said, but don't come back 1 second late or I'll put you in the cooler. And it's going to be pretty crowded in there later on. And so, back in the orange grove, the minutes ticked away. All around were rustling and whispering as everybody got more and more desperate to think of a way to get past the guards. Just before midnight, I returned to the gate and really rubbed it in that I was a minute early. They waved me straight through and never asked to see my non-existent pass. Well, this is what we call chutzpah. And as you see, even in Israel, chutzpah can get you a long way. The Golan Heights have seen more than a little military activity over the last few years or so. Past conflicts along the border between Israel and Syria made this range of hills notorious. Whoever holds them can dominate the whole of the north of the country. There are army bases here with thousands of soldiers who from time to time need relaxation from their duties. So today a special army unit called the Nachal Troop is putting on a show. And I'll tell you, 30 years ago, this was what finally opened the eyes of Corporal Topol to a whole new world. I can remember a scene just like this at a camp way out in the sticks. An entertainment troupe arrived and set up, and just for a lark, we, the audience, decided not to smile or applaud or react in any way. And so the young entertainers gave off their best to be met by silence, not a flicker. Then my name rang out.
Topol, shouted the sergeant major. Just get up there and let's see if you can do any better.
So I cracked a few terrible old jokes and sang a song. And of course, all my friends went mad, cheering and clapping like crazy. Before I knew it, I was transferred to the troop. My paratrooper days were over before they had started, and I joined the world of showbiz.
אימון מפרך עד חצות הליל הנשק לירות נגמר נחל משם צנחנו.
It's a wonderful feeling today to see that very same unit still going strong and singing the same songs that were our favorites then.
מרוב אימונים נקרא הישבן.
For almost 3 years, I was introduced to song, dance, and stage writing. We traveled the country from north to south, east to west, and we prided ourselves that not a single soldier missed our shows. We performed in cowsheds, in oases, on the back of trucks, in times of war as well as peace, often before audiences which were battle-fatigued. Sometimes we outnumbered the soldiers. I remember once the entire audience was set on a billiard table. From time to time we had guest artists, some internationally famous like my old friend Danny Kaye, who I could watch, admire and try to learn from.
אל תגידו יום יבוא, הביאו את היום, כי לא חלום. ובכל הכיכרות, הריעו רק שלום. לכן רק שירו, שיר שלום, אל תלחשו תפילה. מוטב תשירו, שיר שלום, מצעקה גדולה.
I can still hardly believe it, but today is a wonderful reunion. From 30 years ago has stepped Nechama Hendel to join me on this visit to our old unit. Nechama Hendel, we were together in the 50s, and her sweet, sweet voice made her a legend in Israel. We must have done over 1,000 shows together.
על הגל מוטל ולמעלה בשמיים עפרונים המריא אל על רוח סתיו צוחק לו צוחק ומתהולל צחוק וצחוק מבוקר אור ועד חצי הליל דונה 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 easily bound and slaughtered, never knowing the reason why. But whoever write my best friend with whom I joined the army, I'm ashamed to say 30 years ago.
Nothing to be ashamed of. Yes, 30 years ago we sang a song which was written almost 3,000 years ago by King Solomon, the Song of Songs.
מתוך שיר השירים.
מה דודך מדוד היפה בנשים? מה דודך מדוד? מה דודך מדוד היפה בנשים? מה דודך מדוד?
דודי צח באדום, דגול מרבבה. קולו כפעמוני, עיניים זוגיוני.
Our unit at that time was made up of an extraordinary array of talented people who all went on to success as writers, directors, singers, or comedy stars. And when our army days were over, we stayed together for another 3 years as a traveling group called the Green Onions. One of our best comedy actresses and singers was a girl called Galia Finkelstein, who was soon to become Galia Topol. Eventually, Galia left show business to raise our family. So can you imagine how we both felt when 18 years later, our daughter Anat joined that very same entertainment troupe? Well, we've seen something of our national service through the eyes of an entertainer, of course. So what next? As we are already in the north, perhaps we'll head to the borders with Lebanon, then have a swim in the Jordan River, and perhaps go fishing in the Sea of Galilee. Let's wait and see.